Happy New Year, everyone. This is Moonlight150, and for those who have been around for quite a while on my channel, for one thing, I want to say thank you. I don't know why you're still here. But two, I know every year I try to say, this is the year I'm going to restart my channel, and I haven't really been living up to that. And this year I kind of do think is the year because I have new equipment to do other things that I would like to do. So I'll talk about that later in another video. But I thought I'd, kick off the new year with a new, small, simple video just talking simply about the games of 2016 that I'm looking forward to. And sadly enough, when I was looking into all the games that have that are currently announced and have a 2016 release, I mean, some of them don't have a month or anything, but they do say at least 2016. There are not a lot of games, at least by my looking at it. Like, I want to watch some other people's videos, like see what they come up with, but it was kind of hard for me to come up with a top 10 list. Like, I almost wanted to do top 5 because there were just so few, but I scraped together a top 10, even some honorable mentions. So I thought I'd talk with that, and if I missed anything, please let me know. I probably am, and I'm just like, oh yeah, that's coming out too. But I looked at I know it's bad to say, I looked at the Wikipedia page for games that have a 2016 current release schedule. So anyway, let's get started with some honorable mentions. The first one I'll talk about is Quantum Break, the new Xbox One exclusive by the same people who made Alan Wake. So it's like, I'm interested because it's just a new game and it seems interesting. The story, the powers seem cool and all that. And it's made by a company that made their last game was Alan Wake for the Xbox 360, and I enjoyed that game. So it seems to be in the similar vein. It's a third-person action game with, you have to use your weird ability to your advantage. So it seems interesting. It's just not like climbed the list of my most anticipated, even in a year of not so many games I'm looking forward to, and yet it's still somehow in the honorable mentions. So I'm interested, but a lot of these games, like 90% of the games I'm going to talk about, are on my let's wait and see list, as in I'm going to wait and see what people say about it when it comes out, what reviewers say, and maybe watch like someone play it on YouTube. Like, that's what I kind of do with games that I'm not so sure about. I just kind of watch like an episode or two of someone playing it, and I'll make a decision for myself after that. So like I said, about 90% of these games are going to be... Anyway, so the next game I want to talk about is The Division. Division is a game to me that's like Destiny, and I'm scared of that because... Not that I didn't like Destiny, it was just, I could tell this was not a game for me, but it is for some people, and I think, from what I could tell, it's kind of like Division. It's going to be this massive game where people are just going to spend hours and hours just doing stuff, and for me, I'm not exactly a fan of those kind of games. Like, I wasn't a fan of that in Destiny, not a fan of that in Fallout. At least I put up with it in Destiny. But Fallout I couldn't get into, and just these open world games where there's just so much to do and characters to build, I'm just not interested in those kind of like hour-y after hour-y grinding games. So I'm interested, but I'm scared of it, and that's why it's in the honorable mentions list. And it also depends, a lot of these you'll notice, a lot of this will depend on if my friends get it. Having friends will make it not as bad, so we'll see. The game I want to talk about, just very briefly, because there's not a whole lot to talk about, is the Telltale's Game of Thrones Season 2. They just recently announced not too long ago that there will be a Season 2 of the Game of Thrones game, which bravo to them for announcing that right away, but also because they said it actually might be, well, maybe not like the entire all 5 episodes or 6 episodes that Game of Thrones had, but at least starting it, because they said it's going to come out a lot sooner than we think. They actually came out and said we've already been in production of Season 2. So I'm looking forward to that. Any Telltale game I'm looking forward to at this point. They haven't done a single bad game in my opinion. So moving on to one few Nintendo entries on here. Like, I thought Nintendo was bad last year. It's even worse this year. Actually, might be a little better this year. I don't think I bought it. No, wait, Splatoon came out last year. Never mind. Next one I want to talk about, Star Fox Zero, is another one of those let's wait and see kind of games, because I'm hesitant. I mean, I like what I see, but at the same time, I tried getting into Star Fox. I played the 3DS remake of Star Fox 64, and I just couldn't get into it. Maybe it's because it was the 3DS, because I'm not exactly a big fan of that handheld outside of Pokmon and a couple other small things. So I don't know. Once again, I'm gonna wait and see what people think. Does it live up to the expectations that Star Fox fans have had for so long, and stuff like that? Is it easy to play? Is it fun? Stuff like that. And all right, so the final one. This last honorable mention is like the highest of the honorable mentions. It would have been on my list, but I gave my list a stipulation, and that is the Xbox One release of Rocket League. It's gonna be at the top of my honorable mentions. It would have been on my list, but I decided not to put it there because it is out on every other platform. It's been out on Steam. It's been out on PlayStation 4 for a while now. It's finally coming to the Xbox because I'm guessing they're console exclusivity wears off by February is when it comes out. And a lot of people are like, why didn't you get it on Steam? Why didn't you get it on PlayStation? I didn't get it on Steam because I do not have a gaming PC, and I didn't get it on PlayStation 4 because, long story short, I do not play multiplayer games on my PlayStation 4 because I only buy Xbox Live, I don't buy PS Plus. Mainly because Xbox is my multiplayer console and my PlayStation 4 is my single-player game console, so I wasn't going to start paying for PS Plus just for Rocket League, so really happy it's coming out sometime soon. So that is my honorable mentions as Quantum Break, The Division, Game of Thrones Season 2, Star Fox Zero, and Rocket League. Rocket League is one of the few where I'm definitely buying. Everything else is a wait and see. So let's get on to the top 10 list, and we're going to start with a weird game. Actually, a lot of my bottom half of the list are just like weird indie-ish games that are very interesting. So we're going to start off with number 10 with We Happy Few. Now, when I watched this, like a lot of people, they thought this looks like a game kind of like BioShock. It has a very BioShocky feel, and I thought because it was going to be made by like 2K or Irrational, by those developers, it's not. It's made by someone completely else. And I'm like, oh, well, okay then, but then I watched the trailer, and I'm like, this actually seems interesting. It's like this cult, you're fighting against it, and all this other stuff, and it has like a BioShock gameplay feel to it, so I'm like, okay, I could get totally behind this. And just that creepy vibe factor that it's giving with this cult and this world that you're living in was just enough to give me my seal of approval, like, okay, I'm really interested in this game. So We Happy Few makes it in the number 10 spot. Moving on to number 9, speaking of Telltale from Game of Thrones, they just announced at the Game Awards that there will be a Batman Telltale game. We know absolutely nothing about this game except that's just Batman and it's a Telltale game. That alone is like, okay, I'm interested. Like, that's how good Telltale games have been lately for me, that they could just announce a game and it'll be like, okay, I'm interested. I mean, it made it to my number 9 spot. Granted, it's a year of not that many releases I'm interested in so far. But like I said, it's Telltale, and I'm interested in Batman, so I'm really curious what they want to do with a superhero now. Telltale has conquered just about every genre now of like kind of characters, so it's going to be really interesting to see what they do. Alright, so moving on to number 8 is another indie game. It's the Xbox One PC exclusive Cuphead. Now, I think just watching this trailer, you can probably guess what makes this game so interesting is the animation. It is gorgeous to watch. It is gorgeous to just look at, and it's good. I think it's going to be a blast to play. From what I originally understood is that it's a boss-only game, like you just go from boss fight to boss fight to boss fight. Eventually, that turned out to be false, that it is a game where there's going to be some platforming, there's going to be like a Mario overworld, so you have to go from place to place. So there's going to be other stuff to do than the boss fights. But of course, what's probably going to make or break this game is the co-op, at least for me. So getting someone to play these boss battles is going to be absolutely fun and horrendous, especially if they really like up the difficulty, like if there is a difficulty setting switch that you can change around with. Because I already hear from just people playing it that it is already like a really difficult game. Like, I don't think I've seen a video of anyone really beat a boss without a couple hundred tries. So it's going to be aggravating, but I think it's going to be a lot of fun. And so I'm really looking forward to Cuphead, 1 for the animation, 2 for the difficulty, and just for the uniqueness of it is really what it is. This game just screams unique. So moving on to number 7, it's actually a tie because I consider these games very similar in a sense. It's going to be the tie of Yooka-laylee and Mighty Number 9. They're both these games that blew up on Kickstarter, and they're made by companies that are previously known for their higher up works. Yooka-laylee being Rare, and they're not Rare anymore, but they're previous Rare employees, and now they made Banjo-Kazooie, and so they're making this game Yooka-laylee, which is it's the spiritual successor is what you call it, because it's pretty much exactly like it's supposed to be the return to 3D platforming is what they're trying to call it. And Mighty Number 9 is, of course, as it looks like in the video, it's the spiritual successor to Mega Man. So it's going to be very interesting. These games are already bought for me. I was a part of the Kickstarter, so I'm going to be getting these games eventually. Not sure I'm going to get what console on. I think, selected PlayStation 4 for both of them, but I might think to change that. So Yooka-laylee, Mighty Number 9, I'm putting them in the same spot because they're both these fascinating spiritual successors to older franchises that I supported on Kickstarter. Alright, so number 6 is going to be the next installment / reboot / movie tie-in of Ratchet Clank. This is Ratchet & Clank's first game on the PlayStation 4, so I'm super excited. I've been a fan of this franchise since its 3rd game, Up Your Arsenal. And so I've been in love with this franchise ever since. I've been loving the games, and I'm just a big fan. I'm looking forward to the movie that it's supposedly tied into, because what it is, for those who don't know, it's a retelling of the original game, but in the story sense of the movie, which the movie itself is a retelling of the first game. So it's going to be interesting, and of course it's Ratchet & Clank, so I'm just going to love it. It's good, and I actually did play a demo of it, so it's going to be a whole lot of fun, and it's Ratchet & Clank. You can't go wrong with Ratchet & Clank. Just it being Ratchet & Clank just made it shoot to near the upper end of my list. Moving on to number 5, this is actually really interesting. I made this adjustment at the last second, and this is Overwatch. It's kind of an interesting story I'll tell real quick, that I was making this list, and I was like, heard about this game called not Bloodborne, that's the other game, Battleborn, and I'm like, okay, this Battleborn kind of seems interesting. I watch it, I'm like, this is not what I thought it was. Turned out I was thinking of Overwatch, and so I watched some video on Battleborn. So I was watching this stuff on Battleborn. I'm like, oh, this seems kind of cool. And then I remember this is the game made by the Borderlands creators. And then I decided to go watch Overwatch. I'm like, oh, this is the game I was thinking about. That I'm like, people have been talking about this game, like hyping it up, like. The people who got to play the beta are like just in love with this game. Because of that, and I watched some videos, I'm like, okay, I gotta go save it. So I'm signed up for the beta, and I'm gonna hopefully play it in February when the beta starts up again. And it just looks like a lot of fun. It looks like just pure, simple multiplayer fun. And I'm like, okay, I'm in. Especially thanks for also giving me a game to put on this list, because I think I would have put like Quantum Break at number 10 than if I didn't have this spot for Overwatch. Just pure multiplayer fun. I'm always behind that. And I do like these games, like, I guess everyone's calling it like a Team Fortress 2 ripoff, where it's the characters, and you just master a character pretty much. Anyway, so moving on to number 4, we are now getting into the PlayStation exclusive games, even though We Happy Few is Xbox. Anyway, Horizon Zero Dawn looks just amazing. I know I say I'm kind of scared of those games where it's very open world and you do a lot of what you want, like Witcher and Fallout and stuff like this. This game doesn't seem to be as big or complex so far as those games, so I could be totally wrong later on. It turns out it's even like bigger and even more complex than those games. But as of right now, the game itself looks really fun, very different, and beautiful for one thing. I mean, have you seen the high quality videos of this thing? It's like, ugh. Anyway, so Horizon Zero Dawn looks amazing, and I would like to really give this game a shot. There's not much I'll say because they really haven't talked about it too much, so they're really keeping it secret, but it has been promised a 2016 release, so hopefully on that. And then moving on to the other PlayStation 4 exclusive, Uncharted 4. Now this game would probably be higher up on my list, maybe at number 2, if it wasn't for the fact that I haven't fully completed playing the other Uncharted games. I'm currently still playing through them. I got the Nathan Drake collection, but I've been loving them so far, and so maybe by the time I finish Uncharted 3, this will probably boot up to the number 2 spot, but I think for right now, I think it's good enough to just be in the top 3. Uncharted 4, I love action-adventure games. They're my favorite genre, so you can't go wrong with this game. They've been hitting it out of the park for each game. It's Uncharted 4. It's probably at the top of a lot of people's lists because it's Uncharted 4. So moving on to the other exclusive, the last exclusive to talk about, it's going to be the one Wii U game I'm planning on getting this year. That is unless I get Yooka-Laylee or Mighty Number 9 on the Wii U, but it's Pokmon Tournament. It's Pokemon the fighting game. It's the game not a lot of us thought we would ever see. It's Pokemon, and they're using like the Tekken format of a fighting game, and it just looks like a lot of fun. And I know that they're still adding characters. There's already a decent amount of Pokemon fighters, even though Suicune is still blows me that it's like, how is Suicune the fighter in this, and why did they choose Gardevoir instead of Gallade? But still, the game looks like a lot of fun. And once again, it comes down to, will friends play with me? Because I could probably lose interest in this game rather quickly if it's just going to be by myself fighting against computers and random people online who are already going to be better than me the day I pick it up. Because I'm just not that good at fighting games. Anyway, so I'm really looking forward to Pokemon. I'm a diehard Pokemon fan, so of course I'm going to get this. And I'm going to try to be as best as I can. I don't know who I'm going to use yet, because there's no Pokemon that has been like, I gotta use that Pokemon, it's a favorite of mine. If they added Zangoose, then yes. But so far, I'm pretty neutral on all the Pokemon they've added, so I'm just gonna see who fits my playstyle better. Weavile's been looking kind of interesting, so I'm gonna try him out. So finally, the number 1 game of 2016 out of a year of just like, what do we have to offer as a year, which is not a heck of a lot, but it's one game I've been really looking forward to, and that is Plants vs. Zombies Garden Warfare 2. I mean, if there was like some other baby even if there was a bunch of other AAA games coming out this year, I still think this would still be my top 3 at least. But because, like I said, there's not a whole heck of a lot this year so far, that it's skyrocketed to the first place. I mean, and thankfully it's coming out next month, now that we're in January, so I'm just super excited for this game. I follow like all the, not all of them, but most of the developers of the game on Twitter, and they keep talking about it, revealing stuff, and it's just been a great ride, and I can't wait for it. It's going to be bigger and better than the last one, which I enjoyed for months on end. I really want to get back into it, actually. But this one's just right around the corner, and it's just going to be bigger and better, and more amazing, and more chaotic, which is what the joy of the original was. So, Plants vs. Zombies Garden Warfare 2 is so far my most anticipated game for 2016, and no diss in these games because they all look really great, but fingers crossed that we get something else announced at E3 that will come in the later half of the year. I mean, there's gotta be more. Unless Wikipedia was forgetting some games, or I just completely forgot about games. Like, I just skimmed past the name and I didn't click that this was like a big game that's coming out. So, anyway, hope you guys enjoyed this video. Leave your top 5, leave your top 10, whatever you want, games of 2016 so far that you are looking forward to. How many do we share? How many do we differ? Please remind me of a game that's like a big deal, that seems like a big deal so far, that that I just didn't even mention, like even in my honorable mentions. So I hope to see you guys a lot more this year with making more videos, and I will see you then. Bye.